When tectonics killed everything, analysis of two mass extinction events were going to the time of Pangaea. Even Antarctica was a tropical rainforest at that time. This is by Science Network Jeff Vivian. The international research team analyzed two of the Earth's mass extinction events, finding markedly similar conditions between these two. Curtin University's Clitty Gris says both the Permian-Triassic and the Triassic-Jurassic events began when increasing atmospheric carbon dioxide, which ultimately reached at least 4 times the current level, triggered massive global warming. There was a single continent, Pangaea, at the end of the Permian epoch about 252 million years ago. She says high volcanic activity released carbon dioxide gas, and the melting of frozen methane probably released more. Now we know even today, on a regular day and every day, the super volcano of Yellowstone releases 45,000 tons of carbon dioxide every day. Now, during the Permian-Triassic event, there was no polar ice caps, no ice on the poles. The oceans were warm and sluggish, with very little movement between the upper and lower water columns, and there was a massive algal bloom. Professor Grice says there was too much biomass to be recycled by bacteria, which existed through the water column, and the algae died, so the bottom waters became anoxic. In other words, they didn't have enough oxygen. They became acidic. Green sulfur bacteria proliferated, resulting in toxic hydrogen sulfide toxic levels in the upper body of the water. 90% of marine and 70% of terrestrial species died, producing some of the Earth's present-day petroleum reserves. This includes the oil in Western Australia's Perth Basin. What we found are molecular fossils indicative of the organisms that use hydrogen sulfide instead of water as an electron donor to fix CO2 in light to do photosynthesis, she says. Those molecules were found in the shales which gave rise to the oil. I support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. They were also found in the oils of the Perth Basin, so we have a nice correlation of oil to the rock which generates it. To see into the past with such detail, the team used compound-specific isotope analysis, and they measured biomarkers in the mixtures. She said, so if you've got a mixture of compounds, say there are some from algae, some from the plants, you can actually measure them individually to get their individual signatures. Professor Grice says similar carbon dioxide levels 200 million years ago triggered a less severe extinction event at the end of the Triassic period, as there are similarities between conditions that produced at least 2 of the 5 known mass extinction events. The team has been investigating 2 of the others, looking for the same characteristics. She says the end Cretaceous extinction, which killed most of the dinosaurs, that's for the dinosaur asteroid strike about 65 million years ago, was probably related to a volith, meaning some celestial object impacting our Earth, such as a comet or large meteor impacting Earth. Professor Grice says what prompted this was the similarity or the potential similarity of global warming events which are associated with the deposition of petroleum. And this is on phys.org. I'll leave a link below for you. Now, when tectonics killed everything, and this is a paper by AstrobioNet, Johnny Bontemp. The new paper reveals how the worst extinction in history may have been tied to the formation of the supercontinent Pangaea. The catastrophe was triggered by an impact from above, unlike another well-known extinction, by a geological process below, deep within Earth's core. It's often known as the Great Dying. This was about 252 million years ago. All life nearly vanished. More than 90% of ocean species and 70% of land species died. Trees, plants, reptiles, fish, insects, microbes, all nearly wiped out. The event marked the end of the Permian period and the beginning of the Triassic, the period that would give rise to the dinosaurs. But unlike the later Cretaceous extinction, 65 million years ago, the one that killed off the dinosaurs 186 million years later, this one was not caused by an asteroid impact, most scientists think. The ultimate trigger, in fact, has remained an ongoing mystery. Scientists have unearthed many clues over the last decades, but they've yet to reach a final verdict. So far, the evidence has pointed towards drastic changes on our Earth and in the oceans. Oxygen levels were low in the oceans, making it difficult for many animals to survive. Carbon dioxide and methane levels were unusually high, contributing to major warming of the planet. Acid rain fell and made seawater so acidic that all coral reefs disappeared. The inland turned into dry desert, hot and arid, and devastated by major wildfires. The climate also varied between periods of sudden warming and cooling, making it impossible for many species to adjust. Many of these changes have been tied to the eruption of two major volcanoes, one in southern China, of all places, 260 million years ago, and the other one in Russia, 251 million years ago. These would have released the large amounts of carbon dioxide, obviously the volcanic gases, leading to greenhouse effects and global warming. The carbon dioxide also made the seawater acidic, killing off many marine organisms. The eruptions would also have led to the catastrophic release of methane, another potent greenhouse gas stored as methane ice nearby under the seabed. But the drama may have already started earlier. Some scientists think drastic drop in sea levels had already perturbed the ocean currents and wind patterns, inducing climate change. And yet all these clues could in fact be related. When all the world was one, PANGEA. In a paper published in Science China Earth Sciences, two scientists attempted to pull the curtain further back to give a fuller picture. According to Dr. Yin Hongfu and Dr. Song Haijun of China University of Geosciences in Wuhan, all the events described above may have been set in motion 50 million years before the climax of the catastrophe. According to their paper, here's how the story may have begun. Some 300 million years ago, at the beginning of the Permian period, all the world's lands had joined into a single supercontinent, PANGEA, and all the world's seawater had formed a global ocean called Panthalassa. The formation of PANGEA led to higher mountains and deeper oceans. According to an equilibrium principle, a giant continent should have a thicker crust than each scattered continent, and the oceans should become deeper. This recession of water away from the land could have eliminated a lot of the biodiversity that thrives in shallow water near the coasts. This recession would also lead to changes in ocean currents and wind patterns, initially global climate changes. What's more, the inland region of one giant continent world would become dry and arid, leading to the disappearance of much vegetation. But something else also went on deep within the Earth. When the lands joined, some tectonic plates moved under others and sunk deep into the Earth's mantle. That cooler material then may have reached all the way to the Earth's core layer. Evidence for this includes the reversal of Earth's magnetic field that occurred around that time, an event called the Illawarra magnetic reversal. The accumulation of cool material near Earth's core then could have led to the formation of the large mantle plume by a process called thermoconvection, other researchers had suggested, and that super plume would eventually reach the Earth's surface in two separate bursts. First, with an eruption in China 260 million years ago, and then the other in Russia 251 million years ago. By that point, all life had nearly vanished. In short, the paper urges that the great dying may have been an ongoing process tied to the formation of PANGEA, which led to sea level change and climate change, but also and ultimately to what went on inside the Earth. Problems with PANGEA. PANGEA, 260 million years ago, all the world's lands joined into one. Now, however, many scientists disagree with the theory that the formation of PANGEA played any role in the extinction. Some argue that the formation of PANGEA happened too early and that the dying happened too rapidly for the two events to be linked. Others don't think that sea level changes played a role in the extinction. I don't agree with all the links they propose, says Paul Jingle, professor of paleoenvironments at the University of Leeds in the UK. He said the peak regression, low sea levels, in the late Permian is significantly before the mass extinction and so unlikely to be a factor, he said. As for the other factors, most scientists seem to have reached a consensus. The paper is not really saying anything new, but giving an overview of the key factors responsible, Jingle says. Nearly all, including me, blame volcanism. But the paper's real point, it seems, is that both the formation of PANGEA and the volcanic eruptions were caused by processes deep inside the Earth, which could have been related even if one occurred before the other. The links between inner Earth, Earth's surface, and the evolution of life is an important theme of the Earth system science, since that is worthy for further investigation, the authors wrote. But they also concede that their hypothesis is just that, a hypothesis, and that more research is needed. They end the paper, perhaps fittingly, with a quote by an ancient Chinese poet named Ku Yuan, who wrote, "Long as might be the road, keep searching above and below, I would." And this is by AstrobioNet on phys.org. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support.